When the mind doesn't rest, the body learns to become ill. Buddhist teaching. There are aches that don't disappear with sleep, discomforts that slowly blend into your routine, and a fatigue that lingers even after a full night's rest. The body keeps going, but something inside is worn down, and it isn't only physical. It's the weight of years of tension, constant pressure, living on alert, and ignoring the small signals until they become impossible to overlook. Buddhism looks at this state with remarkable clarity. The body doesn't break all at once. It grows tired of carrying a mind that never stops. Chronic pain and deep exhaustion are not personal failures. They are intelligent responses to a life lived without inner pause. That's why the Buddhist path to healing doesn't begin by attacking the symptom. It begins by creating the conditions for the whole system to finally relax. When the mind stops pushing, the body stops resisting. When attention returns to the present, energy reorganizes effortlessly. Healing doesn't mean fixing yourself. It means stopping the demand that you function as if nothing is happening. These teachings do not replace medicine, but they point to something we often forget. The body has a natural capacity to recover when it is no longer living in defense mode. From here, these 10 Buddhist rules are born not as quick solutions, but as simple and profound inner adjustments to ease the pain that has been building over time. And everything begins with the first rule, which isn't about doing more, but about stopping the force on what is already tired. Rule 1. Breathe with awareness. The breath is the sacred bridge between your mind and your body, the invisible thread that ties what you think to what you feel. When you breathe unconsciously fast, shallow, rushed, you send constant alarm signals to your nervous system, as if every moment were a threat. But when you choose to breathe deeply, slowly, and attentively, you activate your body's natural capacity to heal, as if you were turning on a lamp inside yourself. In Buddhist monasteries, the first lesson every meditator learns is to return to the breath. The teachers repeat calmly, where the breath goes, the energy goes. And where energy flows, healing begins. Imagine inhaling slowly, as if you were feeding every cell with oxygen and compassion, and exhaling deeply, as if you were releasing tension, invisible toxins, and blockages accumulated over years. It's simple, but it's profound. Every morning, before touching your phone, before thinking about tasks, sit for a few minutes and breathe with presence. Inhale through your nose, feel the air fill your lungs, pause briefly, and exhale gently through your mouth. Repeat 10 times. You'll notice your mind clearing and your body feeling lighter, as if your energy finally stops crashing into inner walls. Conscious breathing isn't just an exercise. It's a habit you can weave into every moment of your life. Before you speak, breathe. Before you react to a challenge, breathe. Before you eat, breathe. Because when you anchor your breath throughout the day, you prevent stress from turning into illness, and you give your organs fresh energy to repair themselves. Your breath is your first medicine, free, unlimited, and always available. Share in the comments if you already practice conscious breathing. Write, "I breathe to heal," and see how many people in this community are walking with you on the same path of healing. Buddhist masters often say that the breath is the rope that ties the present to your heart. And if you look honestly, what steals our peace the most isn't the world, it's the mind when it runs wild. That's why after breathing, before speaking, before reacting, before eating, there is an ancient, simple, and powerful teaching repeated in monasteries like a whisper. The mind is like a wild horse, and the breath is the art of holding the reins without violence. It is said that in a village at the foot of the mountains lived a young man full of restlessness. His mind never rested. It jumped from one fear to another, from one thought to the next, as if there were a wind inside his chest that never stopped. One afternoon, exhausted by himself, he went to seek an old monk who lived in silence beside a bamboo grove. When he arrived, the young man bowed and said, "Master, my mind won't be quiet. I think too much. I suffer too much. I want peace, but my head is a noisy marketplace." The monk looked at him with the calm of someone who has no hurry and replied, "Sit down, breathe, and tell me, have you ever seen a wild horse?" The young man nodded. "Yes, master. A horse like that doesn't obey. It runs without direction and knocks down whatever it finds." The monk barely smiled and said, "Then you already know. Your mind is that horse." The monk led him to a meadow where, in the distance, a dark horse ran free, striking the earth with its hooves. The animal neighed, spun, lunged forward, then stopped abruptly, as if fighting an invisible enemy. The young man watched, mesmerized by that chaotic force. The monk asked, "What would happen if you tried to catch it by force?" The young man answered, "It would drag me, it would hurt me, or it would escape even more." Then the monk said, "Exactly, that's what you do with your mind. You chase it, you hit it with judgment, you pull at it with anxiety, and it becomes even wilder." The young man frowned. "So what do I do?" The monk picked up a blade of grass, let it fall, and replied, "Do not tame it with violence. Approach it with presence." For days, the young man returned to the meadow. He did not go to chase the horse. He did not go to shout at it. He simply went to be there. He sat on the ground, breathed, and watched. At first, the horse would not come close. The young man felt frustration, and his mind, like the horse, wanted to run, wanted results, wanted control. But the monk kept repeating, "Just return to the breath," and the young man obeyed. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Little by little, something changed. The horse still ran, yes, but it no longer seemed like a threat. It was only energy, only movement, only life without direction. One morning, the horse stopped a few meters away. The young man held his breath for a moment, and the monk, watching from a distance, said, "Don't tense up, breathe." The young man breathed. He didn't move. He asked for nothing. And the horse, as if sensing that stillness, took a step to then another. It came close enough for the young man to hear its strong breath, hot, real, alive. In that moment, the monk approached and said, "Now you understand. You didn't conquer it. You didn't defeat it. You accompanied it." The young man whispered, "But it still trembles." The monk replied, "Of course, it's wild, and it's also beautiful. It only needs your presence to remember it isn't alone." Then the monk made an unexpected gesture. He sat beside the young man and said to the horse, "Come." And the horse, slowly, lowered its head. The monk did not touch it right away. First, he breathed with it, as if the monk's breath was teaching the horse a deeper rhythm. Then, with the gentleness of someone who wants to possess nothing, he placed his hand on the animal's neck. The horse did not flee. Instead, it released a long exhale, as if it could finally rest. The monk looked at the young man and said, "This is meditation. It isn't emptying the mind. It is stopping the fight with it. It is holding it with compassion until it settles." And here is the part that reaches the heart, because this story isn't only about a horse. It's about you, about me, about all of us. The human mind can become a wild horse when it lives too long in fear, in rush, in the need to control life. It runs after what is missing, panics over what might happen, relives what hurt, invents tragedies ahead of time. And when the mind runs wild, the body pays the price. The jaw tightens, the chest constricts, the stomach burns, sleep breaks. The mind churns, and the body grows ill. That's why the Buddha taught the art of returning, again and again, to the present. And the present opens first through the breath. Conscious breathing is like approaching your wild horse without a whip, without chains, without shouting. It is sitting in the inner meadow of your own being and telling your mind, tenderly, "I'm here, You don't say, "Be quiet." You don't say, "You're a problem." You don't say, "You shouldn't feel this." You simply watch it and return to the breath. Inhale, exhale. That is the soft rope, the invisible rein, the gesture that doesn't wound. At first, your mind will still run. It will bring you lists, memories, arguments, worries, and you, like the young man, will feel like giving up. But the Buddhist path is patient. It does not seek to dominate, it seeks to understand. It does not seek to control, it seeks to awaken. And there is something deeply healing in realizing that the mind is not the enemy. It is energy without guidance. It is a horse that became wild because no one cared for it with attention. That's why, when your mind runs, don't punish it. When your mind speeds up, don't insult it. When your mind falls into fear, don't push it away. Just breathe and stay with it. Like the monk, like the young man, like someone holding a frightened child in the middle of the night, because the mind, when it receives presence, begins to trust. And when it trusts, it calms down. And when it calms down, the body can finally repair. In the Buddhist tradition, it is said that where your attention goes, your life goes. If your attention is always running with the wild horse, with fear, with hurry, with anxiety, then your life becomes a race with no rest. But if your attention returns to the breath, your life comes home. And in that inner home, healing has space. The nervous system lowers its alarms, the blood circulates more calmly, the heart beats with less burden, and the organs receive the energy that used to be wasted in the mental storm. So the next time you feel your mind spiraling out of control, remember this story. Don't chase it, don't hit it, don't force it. Sit down, even if it's only for 1 minute, breathe, and with each exhale tell it silently, "I don't need to tame you, I only need to be with you." Because one day, without even noticing, your wild horse will stop, and instead of dragging you, it will walk with you, and you will discover what the wise have always known. Peace isn't a place you reach by running. It is a state that is born when you learn to breathe with love. Rule 2. Purify your nourishment. The Buddha taught that what we bring into our body shapes not only our physical health, but also the clarity of our mind. Heavy, processed, or artificial foods drain vital energy and slow the body's natural healing process, as if the body must spend its strength defending itself instead of regenerating. That is why Buddhist monks live with a simple diet: vegetables, fresh fruits, whole grains, and herbal teas, not as punishment or restriction, but as a way of honoring the inner temple, the body. When you eat, ask yourself honestly, does this food nourish my life, or does it sustain my illnesses? This isn't about strict diets or deprivation, but about understanding the vibrational value of food. A piece of fruit eaten with full attention, in silence, can carry more healing power than many words spoken without awareness, because it isn't the same to receive food with presence as it is to swallow it in front of a screen with an absent mind and a distracted heart. In Buddhism, mindful eating is practiced by eating slowly, chewing calmly, tasting the nuances, and giving thanks to nature and to everyone who made that meal possible on your table. That simple gesture turns eating into meditation, calms the digestive system, reduces inflammation, and restores the flow of energy. A bowl of vegetable soup prepared with love becomes an elixir for the heart. A handful of brown rice doesn't only feed the stomach, it feeds your inner stillness. A cup of warm tea soothes your nerves like an invisible embrace. And what is the secret? It's not only what you eat, but the mind with which you eat. Eat with gratitude, slowness, and awareness, and you will see how illness loses its strength when your body receives what it needs to be reborn. In monasteries, they say that food doesn't enter only through the mouth, it also enters through the mind, and that if you eat in a rush, it's as if you are feeding your anxiety. But if you eat with presence, it's as if you are feeding your peace. That is why there is a simple story, light as a breeze, that teachers repeat to remind us that a single fruit can become a sutra if you receive it with awareness. They call it the Zen master and the tangerine. It is said that a traveler arrived at a small mountain temple, exhausted, with shoulders weighed down by worries and a mind full of noise. He had heard of a Zen master famous for his silence and for a gaze that seemed to see through the masks of the world. When the traveler entered the courtyard, he saw the master sitting beneath a tree, holding a tangerine in his hands as if he were holding a small moon. The traveler bowed and said, "Master, I have come to learn how to live with more peace." The master did not answer right away. He simply looked at the tangerine, inhaled slowly, and then raised his eyes. His voice was gentle. "Sit." The traveler sat before him. The master extended the tangerine and said, "Take it." The traveler received it, but his mind was already running, thinking of how to eat it quickly, what questions to ask, what answer he wanted to hear. The master watched him and asked, "What do you have in your hand?" The traveler replied, "A tangerine." The master barely smiled. "No, that is an idea. Look again." The traveler stayed still, confused. The master insisted, "Look at it. Only look at it." The traveler lowered his eyes and saw the orange skin porous, alive like a small sphere of sunlight. The master said, "Now smell it." The traveler brought it to his nose, and for the first time in a long time, the scent truly touched him. Fresh, sweet, clean. The master asked, "Where are you now?" The traveler answered, almost in a whisper, "Here." The master said, "Good, now peel it, slowly." The traveler began to peel the tangerine. The peel broke into soft strips, and the fragrance deepened, as if something ancient were awakening in his chest. The master watched in silence, and then said, "Don't think about eating, just peel it." The traveler obeyed. Each movement seemed slower than the last. When the tangerine was separated into segments, the master spoke again, "Now, eat one segment." The traveler brought the segment to his mouth. He wanted to bite quickly, as always, but the master's gaze was like a still lake. So he chewed slowly. He felt the juice, the sweetness, the texture. He felt his own saliva, the movement of the tongue, the simple act of being alive. The master asked, "How does it taste?" The traveler said, "It tastes as if I have never tasted a tangerine before." The master nodded. "That is because you never had. You only swallowed it." The traveler froze, struck by that truth like a bell. The master added, "When you eat without presence, you lose the food and you lose yourself. When you eat with attention, the tangerine awakens you." The traveler looked down, and for a moment he felt ashamed of how many times he had eaten, as if life were just something to get through. And here is where the story becomes a deep teaching, because it isn't only about a tangerine, it's about everything you do while you are absent, about the way we eat as if we are running away from ourselves, about the way we try to fill an inner emptiness with external things without stopping to hear what the heart truly needs. In Buddhism, hunger is not always hunger for food. Sometimes it is hunger for calm, hunger for love, hunger for safety. And when we don't recognize that spiritual hunger, we end up eating with anxiety, eating with sadness, eating in a rush. Then food stops being medicine and becomes noise. The stomach fills, but the mind stays empty. The body gains weight, but it does not receive peace. The Zen master, by giving you a tangerine, gives you a doorway into the present, because the present is the only place where healing happens. The mind that runs lives in the past or the future it regrets. It anticipates, it fears. But when you smell a tangerine with full attention, your mind returns. There is no later in that aroma, no before in that segment. There is only here. And here is the temple. That is why mindful eating is such a powerful Buddhist practice. It is not a luxury or a trend. It is a daily meditation. When you chew calmly, your digestive system relaxes. When you eat without screens, your body understands it is safe. When you give thanks, your mind lowers its guard, and then the organism stops living in defense mode and enters regeneration mode. That is the difference between surviving and healing. Many people eat as if they are defending themselves from the day, But the one who eats with presence eats as if they are praying. And notice something subtle. The master didn't give the traveler a lecture on nutrition, didn't list calories or rules, he gave him an experience. Because Buddhism does not seek to convince you with theory. It seeks to awaken you through direct living. One tangerine can teach you more than 1,000 words if you eat it with awareness. Because when you eat this way, you train your mind to be here. And if you can be here while you eat, you can be here when you speak. You can be here when you get angry. You can be here when you suffer. You can be here when life shakes you. And that presence is the root of health. Many people believe healing is only about taking something or doing something. But deep healing begins the moment you stop living distracted. Because distraction is a gentle form of violence. It pulls you away from your body, away from your heart, away from your inner signals. It makes you eat when you're not hungry, or not eat when you truly need it. It makes you choose what is fast instead of what is nourishing. It makes you chase instant satisfaction instead of real well-being. And the body, silent, waits until one day it screams through fatigue, inflammation, or illness. The master's tangerine is a reminder. Life isn't in what you eat, but in how you receive it. You can eat the healthiest food in the world, but if you eat it with anger, with haste, and without gratitude, that energy becomes heavy. And you can eat something very simple, a piece of fruit, a soup, a warm tea, and if you receive it with presence, with calm, and with love, it becomes medicine. Because the mind digests too. And when your mind is at peace, your body opens itself to heal. So today, when you hold food in your hands, remember the master and his tangerine. Before you eat, breathe. Look at the color, smell the aroma, give thanks, chew slowly, and ask yourself gently, am I feeding my anxiety or my peace? Because every bite is a choice. You can keep swallowing life like someone who has no time, or you can savor it like someone who understands that being alive is sacred. And if this teaching touched your heart, make a small commitment, real, doable, possible. Choose one meal a day to eat in silence. No screen, no rush, as if it were a ceremony, as if the Buddha were looking at you with compassion. And write in the comments, my food is my medicine. Let your words be an anchor for your discipline and a light for those who are also learning to heal through the simplest things. Rule 3. Cultivate inner silence. Our modern world is flooded with noise notifications, conversations, screens, media, and a mind that never stops talking inside us. That external and internal noise consumes your vital energy and blocks the body's repair mechanisms, as if your system were constantly busy surviving instead of healing. Buddhist teachers say that silence is not only the absence of sound, it is a sacred space where the mind and body meet again. When you gift yourself silence, your cells recover their natural rhythm, your heart stabilizes, your immune system strengthens, and your organs begin to work in harmony. You've felt it. After a chaotic, noisy day, your body becomes heavy, tired, tense, as if you were carrying an invisible load. But after a moment of stillness, a walk in nature, a few minutes of meditation, or simply time without distractions, everything changes. Your breathing deepens, your muscles loosen, and the pain softens. Silence is an invisible medicine. Practice it like this. Every day, dedicate at least 10 minutes to complete silence. Sit down, close your eyes, breathe gently, and let thoughts pass like clouds in the sky without chasing them and without fighting them. Because when you stop fighting your mind, a space is born where peace begins to heal what noise had wounded. Don't push the thoughts away, just observe them patiently, like a monk watching a river without trying to stop it. Because the Dharma teaches that what you resist persists, and what you look at with awareness dissolves. Little by little, you will discover a deep inner space, a silent refuge where peace has always lived. In that silence, your body touches its own resources for healing, as if it suddenly remembers its true nature. And silence is also protection. When you choose to be quiet, You stop wasting energy on unnecessary words and return it to where it matters most, to regeneration, to repair, to life. And so you understand with the heart, not only with the mind. There is an ancient teaching passed through temples like a secret of peace. It doesn't speak of great techniques or complicated words. It speaks of a lake, a muddy lake, because the mind, when it becomes agitated, becomes the same. It loses clarity, it loses calm, and in that confusion, the body also grows tired. This story is known as the muddy lake. It is said that a man arrived at a monastery with a weary face and eyes full of storm. He had spent years living in noise, the noise of work, the noise of worries, the noise of arguments, the noise of thoughts that never gave him rest. He wanted to heal, but he didn't know where to begin. When he saw the teacher sitting beside a small pond, he bowed and said, "Master, my mind is chaos. My body is exhausted. I feel something inside me is always tense, as if I could never truly rest." The teacher looked at him with a silent tenderness and replied, "Come, sit here." The man sat beside the pond. The water was muddy, as if someone had stirred the bottom with a stick. There was no reflection. No depth could be seen, only a brown, restless, confused opacity. The teacher pointed to the water and asked, "Can you see your face?" The man answered, "No, master." The teacher said, "Can you see the bottom?" The man shook his head, "Neither." Then the teacher asked something that seemed too simple, "And what would you do to clear it?" The man quickly replied, "I would move it so it mixes, or I would scoop out the mud, or filter it. I would do something." The teacher smiled softly, like someone listening to a child who still doesn't know, and said, "No, if you move it, it becomes muddier. If you strike it, the mud rises. If you rush it, it cannot rest. The only thing that clears it is leaving it in peace." The man frowned. "Nothing else?" The teacher nodded. "Nothing else." And he added, "Sit and wait." The man stared at the pond. At first, his mind grew impatient. He wanted results. He wanted control. He wanted the water to clear right away, the way he wanted his life to be fixed right away. But the teacher said nothing more. He only breathed. Minutes passed, and something almost invisible began to happen. The mud, little by little, started to sink. The heavy particles settled at the bottom. The water was still imperfect, but it was less confused. More time passed. The pond began to show a faint reflection. The man could see, for a moment, the shadow of his face. The teacher finally spoke. "Now tell me, what did you do?" The man replied softly, "Nothing." The teacher said, "Exactly, you did nothing, and that is why it cleared. That is how your mind is." The man swallowed, as if those words touched an old wound. The teacher continued, "When your mind is muddy, you do exactly what you were going to do with the lake. You stir it with thoughts, you strike it with judgment, you rush it with fear, you force it with anxiety. And the more you try to control it, the muddier it becomes. But if you choose silence, if you choose to leave it in peace, the mind begins to settle. And when the mind settles, the body rests. And when the body rests, it heals. And this is where the story becomes medicine for the soul, because we all carry a lake inside. Sometimes that lake is clear, and we can see our life with lucidity. But many times it is muddy, full of accumulated sediments, unresolved resentment, repeated worries, wounds that were never cried out, words that were swallowed, fears stored in the chest. Every obsessive thought is like a stone thrown into the water. Every inner argument is like a hand stirring the bottom, and the body, which hears everything, tightens. Because for the body, an agitated mind is danger. And when there is danger, the body does not heal, it survives. That is why silence is not a simple pause. In Buddhism, silence is the space where the lake clears. Silence is an act of compassion toward yourself. It is not escaping the world, it is returning to the center. It is allowing what is heavy to settle. It is giving yourself permission not to react, It is understanding that not every thought needs an answer, not every impulse needs action, not every emotion needs a fight. Some things only need to be seen and then released. Watch how it works in your own life. When you are in noise, your mind becomes more reactive. Your tongue sharpens, your heart closes, your body hardens. But when you enter silence, even for 10 minutes, something loosens inside. The breath grows deeper, the shoulders drop, the stomach releases, the heart stops fighting, and that is the doorway to balance. The Buddha did not teach you to force calm, he taught you to create the conditions for calm to appear. Like the lake, you don't compel it, you let it be. The teacher of the muddy lake is telling you, with firm gentleness, do not chase clarity, do not pursue it, do not demand it. Just stop stirring yourself, because clarity is not something you build through force. Clarity arises when you stop feeding confusion with your energy. And this is not passivity, it is wisdom. It is understanding that sometimes the most powerful act is not doing, but stopping. Even your body knows this. When you get sick, what does your body ask for? Silence, rest, less noise, fewer stimuli, less pressure. Because when the body is in silence, it can hear its own rhythms, it can repair, it can reorganize, it can return to its natural state. But when you live in constant noise, the body is forced to stay alert, and sustained alertness becomes inflammation, tension, and wear. That is why this teaching is so sacred. Your healing doesn't always need more effort. Sometimes it needs less. Less screen time, fewer words, less inner fighting, less need to be right, less need to control the future, less carrying what is not yours, and more silence, more presence, more compassion. So today, when you feel your mind turning muddy, remember the pond. Remember you don't need to stir yourself even more. Sit down, breathe, and let the mud sink. Let what is heavy settle. Let your mind find its own bottom. And when that happens, even for an instant, you will see your reflection clearly. You will see who you are beyond the stress, beyond the noise, beyond the fear. And you will feel something that cannot be bought. Peace. And that peace is not only a mental state, it is a direct message to your body. You are no longer in danger. It is the signal that activates healing. It is the permission your organs have been waiting for. Just as the lake clears when you leave it in peace, your life also clears when you choose the silence that heals. Rule 4. Honor your sleep rhythm. In Buddhism, sleep is seen as an unconscious meditation, a moment when the mind returns to its source and the body reorganizes its energies, like a lake becoming clear when no one stirs it. Sleeping in harmony with natural rhythms allows cells to regenerate, organs to detoxify, and the mind to release the burdens of the day, the way a pilgrim sets down their backpack upon reaching the monastery. But today we steal from sleep. We stay awake with screens, then use coffee or sugar to force alertness, as if trying to deceive the body when it is only asking for rest. And this weakens immunity, fuels inflammation, and invites chronic illness. Monks follow a simple principle: sleep early, wake early. They see the night as a time for rest, and dawn as a time for rebirth and connection with universal energy, the deep rhythm of nature, the cycle of sun and moon. You can apply this without drastic changes. 1 hour before bed, avoid screens, create a calm atmosphere, drink a herbal infusion, dim artificial lights, read inspiring pages, or meditate in silence. Because sleep is not wasted time, it is the moment your organs work to heal you. The kidneys filter, the liver regenerates, the heart rests, the mind clears. One deep night of sleep can bring more healing than weeks of forced treatments. Ask yourself honestly, do I honor my sleep, or do I trade it for fleeting distractions? Protect your nights like a sacred treasure, and write in the comments, "My sleep is my healing," to affirm this truth and inspire others on the same path. Rule 5. Walk with mindful attention. In the Buddhist tradition, walking is not only movement, it is meditation. It is reuniting body and mind, releasing tension and restoring the flow of vital energy. Walking in a rush and without awareness exhausts the body, like a horse pushed without rest. But walking with presence transforms every step into a massage for your organs, a breath of peace for your heart, and a release for your muscles. Monks practice walking meditation. They move slowly, feel each contact with the ground, and breathe in rhythm with the movement. This simple act calms the nervous system, reduces inflammation, eases anxiety, and strengthens immunity. Imagine walking slowly, feeling your feet touch the earth as if you were kissing the path, inhaling with one step and exhaling with the next. Time becomes gentle, thoughts quiet down, and your body begins to repair from within. This is not just any walk, this is a healing walk. You don't need a special place. A hallway, a garden, or a quiet street can become a temple if you walk with awareness. Give a few minutes each day to unite your steps with your breath and your heart. Buddhism teaches that walking this way returns you to the present moment, and the present is the only place where healing always lives. Try it after this audio. Stand up, walk slowly for a few minutes, and let your steps become medicine. Then write in the comments, "I walk to heal." Rule 6. Release repressed emotions. Buddhism teaches that illness is born not only in the body, but also in the mind. Every unexpressed anger, every suppressed sadness, every buried fear becomes a stone within your system. And over time, those energetic stones create blockages, imbalances, and disease. What the mind does not express, the body screams. But releasing emotions does not mean exploding in rage or drowning in endless tears. It means receiving them with compassion, recognizing them, and letting them go, like opening your hand to release a burning coal. When anger appears, observe it like a wave. I see my anger. I breathe with it. Breathe deeply, and the wave will dissolve. Meditation, journaling, singing, or speaking with someone you trust are powerful ways to release trapped energy. Every time you express your emotions with mindful awareness, you create space inside, and your body uses that space to heal. Think about it. How many times have you felt a weight in your chest after an unresolved argument, or pain after swallowing your tears? Those are messages from the body saying, "Release me, I want to heal." Buddhism teaches us not to judge emotions, but to see them as passing clouds, neither good nor bad, only temporary, arising and disappearing in the sky of consciousness. And when you look at them calmly, they stop dominating you and return to their nature, to pass. Today, give yourself 10 minutes to write what you feel without filters and without fear, like opening a window after years of being shut inside. Don't decorate it, don't correct it, don't judge it, just let it come out with honesty. Because on the Buddha's path, truth is medicine. Then breathe deeply and release, as if you were dropping a stone you've been carrying in your chest. You will feel your body lighter, as if it were thanking you for giving it back its freedom. And write in the comments, "I release my emotions to heal." Rule 7. Connect with nature. In Buddhism, nature is not only scenery, it is part of who we are. Trees, rivers, mountains, wind, sunlight, everything reflects the universal energy we are part of. To disconnect from nature is like cutting the thread that ties you to an infinite source of healing. That is why monks spend time outdoors, in forests or near flowing water, because they know that walking barefoot on the earth, breathing the fresh morning air, or listening to birdsong has profound therapeutic effects. Modern science only confirms what Buddhism has taught for centuries. Nature reduces stress, strengthens immunity, and supports cellular regeneration. Sunlight gives you vitamin D. Trees release subtle substances that calm the nervous system, and the earth offers a delicate energy that harmonizes the body. You don't need a mountain retreat. A park, a garden, or even a few minutes looking at the sky is enough. Open your senses, feel the breeze on your face, watch the light pass through leaves, listen to water or birds. Returning to nature is invisible medicine, and when you feel sad or drained, A walk among trees almost always brings relief. That is your mind and body reading the healing frequency of the universe. Today, spend 10 minutes outdoors and then write in the comments, "Nature heals me." Rule 8. Cultivate gratitude and positive thinking. Buddhism teaches that thoughts are not fleeting, they are real energies that shape your health. Fear, anger, and worry poison the body from within, like smoke building up in a closed room. But gratitude and positive thinking create an inner climate where healing can flourish. A teacher once said, "A grateful mind is a blooming garden where illness cannot take root." And gratitude doesn't mean ignoring pain or challenges. It means recognizing that there is always something to be thankful for. A breath, a ray of sunlight, a heartbeat. Every thank you raises your vibration, calms your nervous system, and strengthens your natural defenses. Practice it like this. Every night, write down 3 things you are grateful for. This simple ritual, repeated every day, transforms your biology. It helps you sleep in peace, reduces stress hormones, and supports your organs in an atmosphere of trust. Positive thinking works in a similar way when you say, "I am healing. My body is becoming stronger." You are sending direct messages to your cells, inviting them to regenerate. Many illnesses worsen when a person loses hope, but countless miraculous recoveries are born from faith and gratitude. Before going to sleep, say, "Thank you for my breath, for my body, for this day," and in the morning repeat, "My body is healing." Write in the comments, "Thank you, life, I am healing." Detachment, when misunderstood, can cool the soul. But the Buddha's middle way reminds us that moderation is a key to healing because it maintains the body's natural balance. Monks practice moderation in food, in speech, and in actions because they know that every excess becomes a debt the body collects as pain or illness. Look at your day with honesty. Where am I overdoing it? Where am I neglecting myself? Maybe you eat too fast, sit too long, worry too much, or laugh too little. Sincere observation is the first step. Moderation is not rigidity, it is flow. Listening to your body. Rest when you are tired. Move when you are tense. Stop eating when you are full. Laugh from the heart when you are joyful. The body doesn't need extremes to heal. It needs a calm, balanced foundation. Write in the comments, "I balance my life to heal." Rule 10. Live with compassion and loving kindness. Buddhism teaches that the state of your heart deeply affects the health of your body. Hatred, resentment, and envy are poisons that burn the organs from within, like hidden fire. But compassion, forgiveness, and love raise your vibration, calm your nerves, and open pathways for healing. Monks practice metta, the meditation of loving kindness, repeating, "May I be at peace, happy, and healthy," and then extending those wishes to family, friends, and even to those they consider adversaries. This practice transforms your inner energy, and when energy changes, the body follows. Many illnesses are born from resentment, but many healings happen when someone chooses to forgive and release invisible burdens. Compassion is not weakness, it is strength. It frees your heart and allows the body to repair. Start with yourself. Look at yourself with kindness. Forgive your mistakes. Treat yourself with respect. Then offer a smile, a kind word, or a bright thought to another person. Practice metta, or a loving gesture today. You will feel your body become lighter, as if an old tension has lifted from your shoulders. Write in the comments, "I love and I heal." Conclusion. You have explored 10 powerful Buddhist rules that reveal a simple and profound truth, and your body is a temple of natural healing. It only needs space, attention, and energy to awaken its power. Conscious breathing, purified nourishment, inner silence, honored sleep, mindful walking, emotional release, connection with nature, gratitude, balance, and compassion. Each rule is a key, and together they open a life that is healthier, freer, and more radiant. These are not abstract ideas, they are practical steps you can begin today. Choose one rule and apply it tonight or tomorrow morning. Breathe with awareness, walk mindfully for a few minutes, write 3 gratitudes, or offer a loving smile. Begin your healing path and share your commitment in the comments. I choose to heal naturally. Your words will strengthen your determination and inspire thousands. Subscribe and turn on notifications for more practices, teachings, and inspiration that can transform your life. And if this episode touched your heart, leave a like. Your body knows how to heal. Give it the love, the silence, the balance, and the light it needs, and it will return it to you 1,000-fold.